beginning of the film, we see a heavily guarded military convoy driving through the lonely Nevada desert, transporting a highly classified payload from Area 51. The soldiers joke around to ease the tension, completely unaware of the deadly danger lurking inside the massive metal container they are protecting. Suddenly, a distracted newlywed couple driving from the opposite direction crashes head-on into the military convoy, causing a massive accident. The impact throws the container off the truck, violently popping its heavy steel doors open and unleashing the horror inside. From the shadows of the wreckage emerges Zeus, a terrifying, hyper-intelligent super zombie with immense strength. He quickly slaughters the heavily armed soldiers with terrifying speed, biting them and turning them into his loyal undead followers. Standing over the bloody highway, Zeus and his newly formed zombie army look toward the bright, flashy lights of Las Vegas in the distance. The city of sin is about to become ground zero for a horrific and unprecedented apocalypse. A fast-paced montage shows the catastrophic fall of Las Vegas, where brave mercenaries like Scott Ward, Maria Cruz, and Vandero desperately fight the undead hordes. Ultimately, the military realizes the city is lost and walls it off entirely with massive shipping containers, leaving thousands trapped inside. Years later, the legendary mercenary Scott Ward is living a quiet, unfulfilling life flipping burgers at a local diner. Despite his heroic efforts during the outbreak, he has lost everything, including his relationship with his estranged daughter, Kate. Scott's boring routine is interrupted when billionaire casino magnate Bly Tanaka visits him with an absolutely insane proposition. Tanaka explains that there is $200 million sitting untouched in the underground vault of his abandoned Olympus casino in Vegas. The catch is that the U.S. government is planning to drop a low-yield nuclear bomb on the city in just a few days to wipe out the zombies once and for all. Tanaka offers Scott $50 million if he can assemble a team, sneak into the quarantine city, and retrieve the cash before the nuke drops. Realizing this is his only chance to secure a better future, Scott accepts the suicidal mission and begins recruiting his old crew. He first tracks down his trusted former teammate Maria Cruz, who eagerly agrees to join the fight for a cut of the massive payout. Next, Scott recruits Vandero, a massive warrior who wields a giant circular saw and works at a nursing home. Vandero is hesitant at first, but the promise of millions of dollars convinces him to pick up his deadly weapon one last time. Knowing they will need an aerial escape route, Scott finds Marion Peters, a cynical and tough-talking helicopter pilot. She agrees to fly them out of the zombie-infested city, completely unfazed by the danger as long as she gets paid. To break into the highly secured casino vault, the team recruits Dieter, an eccentric and nervous German safecracker. Dieter has never killed a zombie in his life, but his unparalleled skills with complex locks make him absolutely essential for the heist. Finally, the team is joined by Mikey Guzman, a flashy sharpshooter who makes viral videos of himself killing zombies, and his tough associate Chambers. To make sure the team follows orders, Tanaka also sends his shady right-hand man, Martin, to oversee the dangerous operation. Before heading into the quarantine zone, Scott visits a nearby refugee camp to try and reconnect with his daughter, Kate. He learns that Kate works as a volunteer, helping people who have been displaced by the zombie outbreak. Kate insists on joining the dangerous mission because a desperate refugee named Gita sneaked into the city to find money for her children. Scott strictly refuses, but Kate blackmails him, forcing him to let her tag along to save the missing woman. The team hires Lily, a tough smuggler known as the Coyote, who knows the safest routes into the walled-off city. Lily leads the heavily armed crew through the massive shipping container wall and into the quiet, eerie ruins of Las Vegas. Once inside, Lily explains that the zombies here are not just mindless monsters. They actually have an organized society. She reveals there are two types: the slow, brainless shamblers, and the highly intelligent, fast-moving alphas ruled by Zeus. To secure safe passage through Alpha territory, Lily captures a corrupt quarantine guard and sacrifices him to the Alpha Queen. The team watches in horror as the terrifying Queen accepts the offering, allowing them to pass without being attacked. The Alpha Queen drags the screaming guard back to the Olympus casino, where Zeus resides on his throne like a king. The intelligent zombies turn the guard into one of their own, adding another fast and deadly soldier to their ranks. Meanwhile, the heist team must quietly sneak through an abandoned building filled with hundreds of hibernating shamblers. They use glow sticks to navigate the pitch-black room, careful not to wake the sleeping, undead monsters surrounding them. The shady Martin intentionally tricks Chambers, causing her to accidentally wake up the sleeping shamblers and triggering a massive fight. Chambers fights bravely, taking down dozens of zombies, but she is eventually overwhelmed, forcing Guzman to put her out of her misery. Tension is incredibly high as the remaining team members finally reach the luxurious but blood-stained Olympus casino. They quickly get to work, with Dieter and Vandero heading down into the dark basement to find the legendary vault. The basement is rigged with deadly booby traps, forcing Dieter to carefully test the floor tiles to avoid being crushed or shot. After dodging the dangerous traps, the eccentric German finally reaches the massive, complex steel door of the vault and begins cracking it. While Dieter works his magic, Scott and Cruz head to the casino's power room to restart the backup generators. Without power, the vault cannot be opened, so they must risk drawing attention to themselves by turning the electricity back on. Unbeknownst to the team, Martin sneaks outside and ambushes the Alpha Queen, brutally decapitating her and bagging her head. It turns out Tanaka's real objective was never the money. The genetically unique zombie blood is worth far more to the government. Zeus soon discovers the headless body of his beloved queen and lets out a terrifying roar of pure rage. Realizing the humans have broken their truce, the furious zombie king rallies his entire army of alphas and marches toward the casino. Back inside, the team receives horrific news over the radio. The government has moved the nuclear strike forward. Instead of a few days, they now have less than an hour to grab the money, find the helicopter, and escape the city. Down in the basement, Dieter successfully opens the massive vault door, revealing huge stacks of cash worth $200 million. The team frantically starts stuffing the money into heavy duffel bags, unaware that a massive army of angry alphas is surrounding the building. Suddenly, the alphas breach the casino, attacking with terrifying speed and coordination. In the chaos, Maria Cruz is tragically killed by a zombie, breaking Scott's heart and throwing the entire team into a desperate panic. Showing his true colors, Martin locks the team in the basement and tries to escape to the roof by himself. However, Lily cleverly steals the queen's head from him, leaving Martin to be brutally mauled to death by a terrifying zombie tiger. In the basement, Vandero bravely fights Zeus in hand-to-hand combat, but is quickly overpowered by the super zombie's immense strength. Dieter sacrifices himself by pushing Vandero inside the vault and locking the indestructible door, saving his friend from being slaughtered. Scott, Lily, and Guzman desperately fight their way up the casino stairs, heavily outgunned by the endless horde of alphas. Running out of ammo, Guzman bravely sacrifices himself by pulling the pins on his grenades, blowing up a massive group of zombies. On the roof, Lily makes the ultimate sacrifice by destroying the queen's head to distract an enraged Zeus. This heroic distraction allows Scott and the pilot, Peters, to finally take off in the heavily damaged rescue helicopter. Just as they escape, Scott realizes Kate is not with them. She went to a nearby hotel to rescue the missing refugee, Gita. Ignoring the ticking nuclear clock, Scott forces Peters to fly the helicopter to the other hotel to save his daughter. Scott breaches the hotel, guns blazing, and successfully finds Kate and Gita hiding from the aggressive zombies. They rush to the roof and board the hovering helicopter just as the military bombers begin their final approach to Las Vegas. Just as the helicopter takes off, Zeus jumps onto the landing gear and forces his way into the cabin for a final showdown. A brutal mid-air fight ensues, with Scott taking a severe beating from the superpowered zombie king. With seconds left on the clock, Scott grabs a pistol and shoots Zeus directly in the head, instantly killing the terrifying monster. However, at that exact moment, the nuclear bomb detonates over Las Vegas, sending a massive shockwave that crashes their helicopter. Scott and Kate survive the horrific crash, but Scott reveals he was bitten by Zeus during the intense struggle. Knowing he will soon turn into a monster, Scott shares a heartbreaking goodbye with his daughter, giving her money to start a new life. As Scott transforms into a terrifying zombie, Kate is forced to make the hardest decision of her life and shoots her own father. The rescue chopper arrives to pick up a traumatized Kate, leaving the radioactive ashes of Las Vegas behind forever. But the nightmare isn't completely over. Back in the city ruins, Vandero survives the nuclear blast thanks to the indestructible vault. He casually walks to an airport, buys a private flight to Mexico with his stolen cash. But as the plane takes off, he suddenly realizes he was bitten during the fight.